I mean, I think I like bourbon. I mean, I like bourbon in my cocktails. It counts.
Definitely not straight.
Okay, it's not that bad straight, but it burns a little.
Woo.
We haven't been drinking bourbon for very long, and to be honest, we don't know a thing about it, other than it seems to be a good, distinguished beverage to order at a speakeasy. Mine smells good.
Mine smells burny.
I think that's the word. This is why we've come to the bourbon capital of the world.
Within a 60-mile radius from the heart of Bardstown, Kentucky, you can hit over 12 distilleries. And with everything from the craft distillers to the big productions, this town is drunken bourbon history, heritage, and pride.
We didn't want to show up to our first tasting as total whiskey virgins, so we soaked up some history at the local museums and chatted up the town historian, who's also the former mayor.
The main reason that we have so many distilleries here is we have limestone spring water. And the limestone springs, coupled with the fact that our land grows corn very quickly from the very earliest times. The early settlers would drop corn in the ground, go off and fight the Indians, come back and they had a crop. But what do you do with a big crop of corn besides feed your animals and have cornbread? Well, pretty soon they realized they need to turn that corn into something they could sell. And a wagon load of corn would make a barrel of whiskey. So that's where it all began.
You can only take in so much bourbon history before you're ready to wet your whistle.
We hear this is the perfect place to start or end your bourbon adventures.
Welcome to the Kentucky Bourbon Marketplace, where we celebrate all things bourbon. This is our souvenir and gift area. This room is our gourmet bourbon foods.
Yum.
Our gourmet bourbon candies and cakes. And then our boutique liquor store. A lot of people come to the Kentucky Bourbon Marketplace for tasting. So let me take you on over to our tasting room and cocktail bar.
Howard kicks it off with a flight of local bourbons to give us the side-by-side comparison of the different nuances.
You can smell the chocolate in that.
Feel a little burn go down your throat. They call it the Kentucky hug.
I know, now I'm a little afraid because you said it was going to burn a little bit more.
That's right.
A little more burn, but definitely tastes like chocolatey.
Yeah, yeah.
That's kind of good. Do you think it smells like chocolate?
Nope.
Not like chocolate
I'm a little hesitant to take that drink.
He likes the bourbon, not quite as much as I like. It's nice to taste the different bourbons side by side, and to have an educated guide lead us through what makes each of these spirits unique.
You won't find a typical bourbon here, but all we have is the premium bourbons, including small batches and single barrels.
Sadly, I don't think I've developed a palate for this yet. And we've even started with the good stuff.
You can do it.
A little over half a dozen tastings later, our palates are past the point of discernible. So there's nothing left to do but call it a day. It is only 10 a.m. and we are already going on our first bourbon tour and tasting, but when in Bardstown, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Let's go. This is a big production facility, but it's not corporate or polished. It's gritty, incredibly loud, and feels like a working man's domain. Add that to the sweat-producing heat and the variety of smells permeating from each room, it's enough to overwhelm and excite anyone. Kind of smells like oatmeal.
Yeah. Kind of tastes like it too.
Pretty good. Sweet. That looks like witch's brew. That one's got alcohol.
Yeah.
That's the sour mash. We go from sweet mash to sour mash. All from the yeast breaking down the sugars, eating all the sugars, turning it into milk.
And it almost tastes like a sour beer.
Right.
The tour's well-rounded with a stop at the filling room, a look at the largest barrel house in the world, which is kind of empty right now, a traditional rick house, and it finishes with the most important part.
Sadly, we're limited by law to 2 tastings and 1 chocolate bourbon ball. But that's all it takes to put a smile on our face.
Just a short drive down the road, but yet a world away, our next distiller is a stark contrast. Willett is a much smaller, family-operated craft distiller that has a unique artistic flair.
We wanted to create a real kind of homey, family, independent type feel that meshed well with the surrounding property and the community we're in. So I think we did a pretty good job of doing that.
It's quiet, intimate, and feels like a New York art studio. Even the equipment has a unique history or is from the previous generations.
And we'll weigh it right here.
So I beat him.
The fermentation barrels here are wide open, so we can really see and smell the different stages of the process. But by far, the most visually captivating piece is the beautiful copper pot still.
I'm not sure if it's the relaxed atmosphere or the sweet smell in the air. For some reason, we worked up the courage to try the White Dog, which is the corn whiskey before it goes into the barrel. It's a sweet sting on the tongue that sets us up perfectly for our tasting.
It goes by the name of Willett Pot Still Reserve. It's a single barrel product.
2 distilleries in one day for newbies like us is about as much as we can take. But we're already gaining a newfound appreciation for this famous American spirit.
Over the next few days, we continued to visit the various distilleries in the area.
Heaven Hill's big group tours and interactive displays are a lot more like a visit to the museum than a distillery.
I think that smells sweeter than the real deal.
The cool self-serve vending machines at Jim Beam allow you to taste anything you want,
So exciting.
from the inexpensive all the way up to the limited release. This is the good stuff. Bottoms up.
Every detail of the stunning property at Maker's Mark is well thought out and oozes with charm, even the bottling line. The big draw here is the Chihuly-adorned barrel room and the participatory wax cutting. It's hard not to fall in love with the Samuels family while you're here.
We experienced it all in the pursuit of knowledge and a refined palate. So what did we learn?
I think that one might be my favorite. Well, we learned a lot, but the key lesson being that all bourbon is whiskey, but not all whiskey is bourbon. Yeah. What makes bourbon different is as simple as the ABCs.
A is for American. It must be made in the United States. While bourbon feels unique to Kentucky, it's really just uniquely American.
B is for barrels. Bourbon must go into brand new, charred white oak barrels aged for a minimum of 2 years.
And C is for corn. While wheat and rye are grains that can be used in bourbon, a minimum of 51% corn must be used, and it can't have any added color or flavorings.
But the big takeaway? Age is just a number and personal preference is king. The best bourbon is the one you enjoy drinking, and not necessarily the one that sat in the barrel the longest.
Certain bourbons are made for mixing, while others are made to be savored, whether it's neat, on the rocks, or with a tiny splash of water.
As for us and our palates, well, smells like the Nikki vintage. We've got lots more research to do.
2 fingers, please.
Who's a bourbon drinker now? Okay.
That's good.
Okay. All right.
Cheers.
Much better.
I think I'm getting the hang of this. Want to know which distilleries gave us the best tour and pour? Click over to our website for extra details and photos.
Want to know more about Bardstown? Watch this video.